This is the Grow Business Podcast with Cory.
Plans?
You know, I have not, but I was gonna say, you're very polite. And well, at first I didn't buy it.
Okay.
Because there are people that are, the people that are polite, and Willie H is laughing. But there are people who are polite, but they're disingenuous about it. Like it's almost like phony polite or phony nice.
Oh, yeah. Like it's icing.
Yeah. So I think I would think. I mean, we go back a few years now, but so I'm thinking back on it now to like, I get that initial. Sometimes how are like that interested thing,
right? Or
the politeness, and you're like, I don't know if this guy, but you're whether genuine or you're the greatest actor. You have gone method,
right?
And stayed in character for over a decade,
right? Yeah, we've known each other a long time.
But so I don't know, or are they just trigger responses? Like you're walking down the hall and you feel compelled to say, "Hey, how are you?" to somebody,
right?
And everyone's answer is always, 99% of the time is, "Oh, good. How are you?"
Right.
Like, and they could be in crisis,
correct?
But most people, there's just certain things that are perfunctory to say. So
right.
I notice you have, you thank people a lot and kind of like, is that a trigger? Is that something you just do, or like? I was just curious.
Well, I think it's a couple of things, right? I think it's one, it's genuine.
Yeah.
And especially because the people that I know and I care about and I have a relationship with. Two, those training, right? Like growing up, my dad was an officer in the Air Force.
Sure.
Career
so
officer.
Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, that was part of the thing. Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
I remember always thank your mom for dinner. Thank you, mom, for dinner. Thank you. Open the door. Thank you, mom, for dinner.
So
please.
Jesus, then mom.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. God
thank Jesus for dinner first, right?
Thank you. Well,
Jesus, our bounty. What is it? We're about to receive our rubber dub. Thanks for the grub. All of those in there, right?
With the lips and through the gums.
Yeah.
Look out, stomach. Here it comes.
Wait, which one? I never heard that one.
Sit over the lips and through the gums. Look out, stomach. Here it comes.
I never heard that one. Followed by an amen, of course. Right? You're gonna add that in there.
Okay. Amen. Well, yeah. So for grace, I mean, for dinner, it's grace before and thank you after.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I like that.
And to your point, though, Cory, is that I've been practicing my whole life, please and thank you, because I was trained to say please and thank you. And it's genuine. Yeah. I mean, recognizing effort.
Yeah.
Recognizing. I
just got a show idea from you saying this.
Okay.
I just got a show idea. I gotta write it down. Well, I'll speak it out, and then Willie H can remind me. It's just like built-in transcription,
right? 100%.
Right? We're recording. It's like
even
built-in
better.
transcription. But we're gonna do an episode on managing and coaching the youth.
Okay.
Because when you said trained, and I think about home training, and I think about the trouble we're in. With some of these kids,
correct,
who didn't get any of that,
right?
So how to manage that workforce, like in particular, and part of managing that workforce is instituting some home training,
correct,
that they did not get as part of the training of whatever your job is,
correct.
So. Okay, you just gave me a good idea. All right, I got to start the show.
Yeah,
hold on, we're already in here.
Let's
go. Folks. Yeah, you've come to the right social experiment. Don't change that dial. Right? I'm dating myself there, but I mean, dials were kind of over even when I was, young. Don't change that dial. You are at the right place. If you're wondering where you are, yes, you are at the Grow Business Podcast. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. I'm joined by the incomparable stand-up guy, super nice. He's going to thank me for the intro there. Longram LG007 is in the building. Voice of reason.
It's good to be here, Cory. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. I want you to know you're welcome. All right. And, 4 minutes in,
right,
he's doing well, fresh off the performance improvement plan. Willie H is behind the boards.
Hit the buttons, William.
That's right. I like it. I think he was going to come up with a variant on that. I can't remember what it says, but we've talked about it. Another variant on like I'm pushing the buttons, so like I'm trying, like something like that. You know, when he misses a cue here or there,
like you're interrupting my sandwich.
That's right. Well, folks, we come to you every week across all the platforms. So hopefully you're listening on your favorite one. If you like video, we encourage you to check out our YouTube page and stream this. You know, in our studio, we're not in our basement. You know, like some people, I mean, you can get a podcast done anywhere nowadays, but we like to be a little elevated. So we encourage you to stream us on Spotify video or YouTube as well. But wherever you're listening. So we appreciate you being here. I mean, the title's a bit on the nose, right? We're focused on doing one thing, helping you grow your business, entrepreneurs, small business owners. I mean, even, you know, corporate executives come here for ideas. We are syndicated to a couple different associations now, which is pretty cool. So that's what we want to do. We're not here to be your gurus, but we're here to share some ideas that have worked for us in our businesses and in our lives and historically. You know, I love the fact that, you know, we're practitioners. So the things that we're talking about are things that we're whether trying to implement, like, you know, this is a good idea. You know, sometimes I get off the podcast and I'm like, wow, we had some good ideas today. We might want to go through some of this here. You know, you know, Willie H is like, "Where's my lunch?" You know, you suggested team lunches. You know, where's my taco? So, you know, we do this based on the principle of what we consider to be the 5 pillars. And you know, ultimately, I believe every business challenge can be resolved or found or dealt with through identifying, attacking within the 5 pillars, mindset, sales, marketing, operations, and people. So we tackle that. That's also the premise of my latest book, Position for Growth. And yeah, that's what we do. We like to dig in and cover those. Today, I normally let you guess, but you were so abysmal before we went into summer break. You were so abysmal. Your numbers, I don't even want to run the scoreboard up. So I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
You know, today, folks, we are digging into. You know, the funny thing is they know already from the title.
Well, they already know.
They know already. Like I'm saying it like it's a surprise, but it's going to be in the title when they click on it to listen to the podcast. But
it's a surprise to me.
We're going to be talking about how to win the talent game.
Okay.
You know, and how to ethically steal top talent from your biggest competitors. Even competing against, you know, big companies. You know, maybe you can't offer some of the multitude of things. So we're going to talk about a couple strategies for that. And how you can get in that game. Because, you know, people, I don't, and we've talked about this, you know, we've done shows on, you know, building teams and, you know, the solopreneur kind of thing. But, you know, solopreneurs have teams. So you can be an employee of one. You can be a company of one. But there are just moving parts that, you know, that need to be dealt with, whether that's on the financial side or that's marketing or sales or whatever. There are players, and not everyone is a W-2, right? You can have people working for you in your organization that's a tax classification. They're still part of your team. Overseas, they're still part of your team. Like if they don't do what they're supposed to do, something else doesn't get done.
If you're working together, that's part of your team, and we're going to talk about, so I don't want to jump the route, but we'll talk about identifying talent and upgrading talent. And so both of those.
Will we? Whoa, buckaroo.
Maybe
will we be talking?
Maybe not.
Okay.
You know, my ESPN may not be kicking in.
The views of LG007 do not reflect the promises made by the Grow Business Podcast.
Well, I didn't say internally. I said for.
Okay, gotcha. All
I said
right.
for
You promising some stuff that I don't see that part here.
I haven't seen the list, so you know.
I was at a meeting the other day with the agency team, and I said, you know, we have to be careful when we're advertising something, because what you guys are pitching as the tagline is not what's actually in the information that they're getting. So, you know, we have to be. I understand the tagline sounds pithy,
but
but that's not we're not covering any of this.
Oh, yeah.
That you're talking about in the headline and kind of the ad.
Sure.
So I'm like, we have to be careful that matches.
Right. We want to sound good and be true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's valuable, I think, right?
Well, it's like the book, right? Position for Growth is about growing your business.
That's
so
right.
it's a catchy title with impact.
Yeah.
And then when you turn the page, you start to figure out how to do it.
Well, yeah. And if you think about it, I mean, I generally like to operate from a running theme. Like, I like to be as self-explanatory as possible.
Sure.
It's like, grow, business podcast, position for growth,
Right.
Mosley Strategy Group. I'm Mosley.
Right.
Strategy. There's a few of us. Like, I try to specialize in that versus people who, love complicated.
Right.
KJX Solutions. I have no idea what that is.
Perfect. Yeah. That sure makes a great logo.
I got no clue what that is. Oh, your initials. Oh,
that's right.
And you do extermination.
Lord have mercy.
Oh, how can I not get that from that?
That's exactly right.
Right? What are the solutions?
Right. That's exactly
what do you need the solutions to be, right? That's the early on. You had no clients. It's what do you do? What do you need?
Right.
Is more of the question.
Like speakers, what do you talk about?
What are you paying for? Right. What gets a fee?
What do you talk about? Well,
with ChatGPT now, I can talk about anything.
That's correct.
That's so
good. All right.
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to try to accomplish, we're going to try to get to 5. It's what we're going to do.
I like our chances.
So we're going to dive in, and what we consider to be, I like to focus on proven. I also like to focus on modern. Yes. Right. So if you're looking to attract top talent, again, this is not always employees per se. It's top talent. So number one, I want to start with is this idea of being a magnet, not a poacher.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
With the idea being here that you don't have to chase people,
right? If
your company looks irresistible,
right? Yeah, it's the idea of attracting talent, right? And one of the things I talk about when I talk to leaders is people want to be a part of a winning team.
Yeah.
So you create an environment where your team, your company, your brand is winning.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be a part of that both internally and externally, right? All you got to do is look at, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
They
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Well, and you're wearing
my
green.
Team.
You're wearing green today. So
yeah, I love the Eagles. Hey.
I say that to say though that when the Eagles are winning Super Bowls and they're winning games, their stands are packed. You can't get a ticket. They attract fans.
Right.
When they're not playing so well, you can buy a ticket at the window for less than market value. So I say that to say this is that people are attracted.
That's when you just want to go to a game.
Correct. Right. Yeah. This is a nice day.
I don't care if you're playing.
It's a nice day.
You're 0 and what? Good day for a football game.
Exactly. And so to bring it back though is when you're doing well, when your brand is showing up well, when your work is excellent and you're winning, you're going to attract people. Yep. They're like, I see what's going on over there. I want to either
be a part of it,
learn more about it. I want to do business with them. I want to be a part of what they're doing.
Now, okay, so let's look at what that looks like. So, what can you do? I mean, social media is a great way.
Correct.
Post behind the scene clips of culture. Like, we'll run reels of us prepping for the show or what we're doing in downtime. If Joan, shout out to Joan Bowling, one of our co-hosts and hosts on the network. If we're doing something and we're just goofing off, it looks like it's a fun place to be.
Right.
After you say cut, then get back to work. But behind the scenes, people love seeing real workplaces with personality. Also encouraging employees to share authentic moments about why they enjoy working with you.
Yeah.
Now be careful because you don't want to tell your spouse, your job is the favorite place to be.
Right.
And then you're on the couch for a few weeks, not saying anybody in particular, not calling out anybody in particular, but this guy can help me. Just trying to help save some marriages here.
That's exactly
so, don't use words like happy place, and things of that nature. But you do want to encourage those authentic moments, right? So I'm also, do you have a why work with us page? You got a why hire us or our services, but do you have a why work with us page on the website that kind of shows your values, shows your vision, and now in kind of a cultural standpoint, shows your vibe.
Correct.
Right. So like not the mission. I mean, mission statement, we want to be the da-da-da, but what's the vibe? What's the people are so into vibes now? Like, what's the vibe that I get? What's the energy from your company and your place?
Energy is such a great word, Corey, because energy attracts or detracts, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you're showing, we know it's not all popsicles and ice cream,
right?
Because if you're going to be successful, you got to do some hard work.
Sure.
But what you want to show is you want to show people enjoying the work that they're doing, enjoying working together.
Right.
Share some examples about how you've accomplished things in a group environment or in a team environment. On your going about why work with us page or what about us page internally. Right. And then because what that does too is potential clients and potential customers, when they're looking at you and they say, well, why work with us? They can look at that as, a potential client, like, well, if this is how they identify themselves, I do too. So maybe I want to hire them. So it gives you, it's got, it's a two-sided opportunity to elevate. And it also does something for you as well that we may or may not talk about, is that when people look at it and they say, well, that's not really the vibe I'm looking for. That's not really the energy I'm looking for.
Right.
It reduces what you have to deal with.
Sure.
Because somebody may self-deselect.
Yeah.
Whether it be, again, a customer client or somebody who's looking for a job.
Well, and particularly tight teams. Like if you're culturally off, I'm not save the HR messages to me, but if you have more of a raucous organization, you need to be working with people who fit into that.
Correct.
So you don't have I'm uncomfortable by, whatever. Or if you're a gossipy place, and you don't want people who don't like gossip.
Well, exactly.
If you don't like the tea, then again, that's just not for you. Correct. Versus, because the uncomfortable thing is, that's just how it is around here. And so you don't want to have those kind of conversations because then you are exposing yourself to workplace issues and those types of things. So kind of, get it right the first time, so to speak, just in terms of attracting. And, those things have to tie together though. Meaning you can't pretend on the street that you're this straight-laced organization and then you're attracting those people, and then it's raucous.
Correct, right.
Because then that's confusing, and again, there's unnecessary exposure there.
Well, and that doesn't do any good for your business either.
Sure.
I mean, it's, it ends up getting revealed. And I'll use, for this very specific example, in professional golf now, there's two tours. There's the PGA Tour and the Worldwide Live Tour. And the Live Tour is playing loud music and rocking, and fans are having a great time.
Interesting.
And the PGA Tour, which is the more traditional tour,
is that other one under the PGA guidance?
It's not completely separate. Now they're trying to figure out, can they work together? Because the Live Tour attracted, and this is what we're talking about. The Live Tour attracted
younger people,
some of the talent from the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Now, certainly some of it's financially motivated, but some of it's also the environment.
Right.
And so they're both of them playing golf on very nice golf courses.
So you're telling me we've got a DJ on the green while somebody's trying to golf?
Up near the first tee, they got a DJ in the clubhouse, loud music. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a completely different vibe.
Right.
And both are good.
Smart.
Both are golf.
If you want new people to golf's just a tough one for me. Did you golf this summer?
Some, yeah.
You did?
Some, yeah.
We had this conversation. You any good?
I'm better than some, not as good as
I'm
others.
just trying to get it off the tee.
Right.
That's all. So,
Yeah, well.
And I know people that are members at great golf courses. It's just
absolutely.
Not, I mean, give me the chicken wrap. I mean, give me the, take me to the lunch.
Well, for me, I got a couple of good buddies that are members at local clubs, and we'll get out every once in a while, and it's a chance for us to hang out and catch up because they're married and have kids. And
it's just so long. It's like 3-4 hours to play around the golf.
It's a commitment.
Yeah,
it's a commitment. It is.
I love that. See, this is what I'm talking about. All the optimism, it's a commitment. All right, folks. Well, remember this: top performers aren't job hopping.
Correct.
They're opportunity shopping.
Yeah. Okay.
So show them why you're the upgrade.
Yeah.
All right.
This might be a guy I want to work with.
Yeah, there you go. Number 2, hunt the I love this one. Hunt the underappreciated elite.
Okay.
So the idea here is the best recruits many times are stuck in average companies where their talent isn't noticed.
Okay.
So search LinkedIn for people in your area that maybe have been in the same role for 3 years or more. Look for high engagement in their posts or recommendations, signs that they're respected, but probably ready for a move. A lot of times people start chattering up on LinkedIn to build their authority or that kind of thing. And, send a personal message complimenting their work, maybe inviting them to a coffee chat, not a formal interview.
Right. Well, I mean, there's about 17 things I could go into that. I'm going to go into one.
90 seconds. Right.
That's why I said I'm going to go into one. When I worked in surgical sales and led regions, we were a high growth company. And so we're always looking for how do we get the next level of talent and developing leaders, right? And I called them assistant coaches. They're people on a team where there was a number 1 and maybe they were the number 2. And so, like when the Colonial Heights Chiefs went undefeated,
bingo! That was good right there.
their offensive coordinator was a hot commodity because they scored a lot of points to win to go undefeated. So I say that to say this: look at people that may be an assistant or in a developing role that you could bring in. And you could give them opportunities, especially if you're in a growing organization or you're looking for somebody who you're creating a role that you need some creativity. And they're working at an agency and they've demonstrated, you've seen some of their work, lots of different ways but their work gets revealed. And so to your point, using LinkedIn, using referral sources, talking to people. And the great thing about talking to people when you don't need them is you make better decisions than when you're talking to them when you do.
Voice of reason.
There you go. The best way to steal talent is to give someone the appreciation they're missing where they are.
100%.
It's taboo now. In my presentations for years, I used to love to reference the Cosby Show. Obviously it became taboo because, of that thing, that guy and that thing and whatever. But every life lesson is in the Cosby Show, and there's an episode where Theo, R.I.P. Malcolm Jamal Warner, where Theo's girlfriend was kind of hanging out with another guy, and he went to his father and was complaining about it. He said, "I'm going to solve this issue for you." And he gets him in the kitchen and he sits him down and he gets a mixing bowl. He gets like peanut butter and like olive oil and stuff. And he sits him down and he pours it in the bowl and he makes him put his hands in there and mix it up. And he takes it and he puts it on his face. And he says, "Now repeat after me. I will pay attention to my woman. I will pay more attention to my woman. I will pay more attention to my woman." And he walks off and leaves, and Theo starts chanting it and then stops and finally realizes it and looks up and Bill Cosby's gone. And he got it.
Okay.
And it was pay attention to the woman.
Right.
So much of business and sales I find fall into like relationship categories, relationship psychology. So it's the same thing here. You've got some issue with a spouse who doesn't feel appreciated,
right? Or
a girlfriend who doesn't feel appreciated,
right?
Don't get mad when somebody scoops in because you got complacent.
Correct.
Right. So I just think that's one of those things. And again, this is all ethics. If this is ethical, right? And simply looking at an opportunity.
Correct.
Somebody's not valued, their opinions, all these different things.
Right.
We got to keep our eye on the prize there. Speaking of eye on the prize, we've got a fantastic sponsor.
We do.
We need to talk about at the Grow Business Podcast.
Oh, my goodness. Well, today's episode is sponsored by Pecan Jack's Ice Cream and Candy Kitchen franchise, where fun meets serious profit. With an average unit volume of 960,193.38. This is a franchise that proves you can build wealth doing something people love. Learn more at pecanjacksfranchise.com and see if there's a sweet spot open in your market.
Oh, I like that. I like the sweet spot. Shout out to Pecan Jacks.
Shout out.
Emerging brand,
yes.
growing, rapidly growing. Just great things happening over there. All right. Number 3, turn your team into recruiters.
Yes.
Your people know great people.
Yes.
Bingo. So what does this mean? Bring a rock star for referral bonus, right? Because it costs money to recruit. So why not put that money in your people's pocket?
Right.
When what is it? Eagles only fly with other eagles. As Del Toro says, you never see a eagle and a crow hanging out.
Right.
So offer that. Maybe it's $250. Maybe it's a weekend getaway. Anything like that can spark referrals to put people in the mindset of doing that. Yeah,
and it's your reward there. Your reward bringing people in that you hire. I think the other thing you want to do too is you want to talk to people about this is, tie it all into what we're trying to accomplish, tie it into the corporate goal. We want to bring people in because as we grow, we want to have good people like you with us, and people know people like themselves, right? I talk about that in sales with clients,
right?
Talk about that with employees, with other people. Mm-hmm. So encourage them and give them the value of bringing other people in. There's a monetary value for sure, but if they have somebody by rewarding the hire,
right?
But if they have somebody that they like, and maybe they like working together, and they know that person brings a different perspective and brings a different talent. And so you want people to feel like they're bringing somebody in, not to replace them,
right,
but to work with them.
That's right. Also, encourage team members to post about open roles.
Yes.
On LinkedIn with their own message.
Yes.
That can help sell that idea. Come work where you're valued.
Right.
Or those types of things.
Right.
And I think the little distinction there, because I see people repost stuff. I think the little distinction is adding up some personalization to it. So it's not just you were forced to reshare, opportunities inside your company, So I think that's a distinction. I think that extra, particularly circulating amongst your network.
Yeah.
Because now we're just, it's a one-click repost environment that we're in. So adding that little personal touch, I think, could help, create that engagement.
Well, on across all forms of social media, right? If you repost on LinkedIn, add a comment, say, I enjoy, if you want to talk about it, talk to me, and then I'll tell you about it. Mm-hmm. Or if you're on Instagram, post add something to it, or TikTok, add something to it as you can. But it validates why you're doing it. And it validates that the place that you work is a place that other people want to work.
Right.
And you want to attract people that you like, that are like you. They may have to think like you, but it means that they have similar values and similar levels of energy.
Yeah, no, I love that. Also, we talk about company culture.
Mm-hmm.
Build a recruiting culture.
Yes.
So, celebrate. Just like we may celebrate the employee of the month, celebrate referral wins publicly.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank those people who brought these other people in, recognize them for bringing your organization good people. Because the funny thing is, we have this conversation, Cory, I can't find any good people. And then I start asking what they're doing to do that.
Right.
And then the conversation slows very quickly.
Correct.
Or I should say, hey, are you doing this? Are you trying that? Are you trying this? No.
Right.
Oh, bad. So what you mean is you can't find good people.
Right.
Not that there aren't any good people.
Correct. The other thing I'll encourage you to do too is we're talking about working from the inside out. Yeah. Talk to your clients. Provide guidance. So, I would have doctors talk to me all the time. Hey, Elon, you hiring? I'm always interviewing. I'm always talking to people because I don't know. One, I know that I will need people, and sometimes I'll need them sooner than later. But if I'm in a high growth environment, I always have to add people to my organization.
Right.
So I say that to say this: talk to your clients and say, as we grow, do you know people that you would like to work with that would be good to work with us?
Right.
And qualify. Tell them what you're looking for. Give them give them a sense of, I'm looking for somebody in social media. I'm looking for somebody that can do these certain skill sets, because they'll help you find them.
Right.
Because they know people who aren't happy at other places that are talented.
No, I like that. ultimately when your team helps build your team,
right?
That's when, people also talk about secret sauce, but that's when, culture becomes your secret weapon.
Oh, 100%, because they're all invested in each other.
Yeah.
And they root for each other.
All right. Number 4.
Okay.
Sell the growth story, not the job title. So the idea here is that small businesses win talent by showing trajectory, not perks.
Agreed.
So what does that look like? Well, create a one page or create a career growth map that shows how a role could evolve.
Right.
And particularly with young people.
Correct.
Many whom think they should be supervisors. One of my favorite movies is a movie called Boomerang, Eddie Murphy, in the 90s. It was one of Chris Rock's,
so good.
Now he's a big star, but it was a bit part for him as Boney T, the guy in the mailroom. And, he's like, hey, I've been working here 4 or 5 days now. No, I'm sorry. I've been working here 4 or 5 weeks. Right. I've been on time, even when it rains for the most part. Don't you think it's time we talk promotion?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
If you remember the show Martin, period, where he left his job, went off to a cult, came back and had these jobs because he could be a radio show host, and he'd quit all the jobs and would be, hey, I was working at Hoochie Burger and, I mastered all I could do with flipping hamburgers. Like, they could have at least made me head supervisor.
Right.
He brought the mail home with the mail bag with the mail still in it. So he quit. They could at least, I've been there 2 days. They at least bumped me up to head mailman.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there is this intrinsic, like, what's the next step?
Correct.
So giving people that path.
Correct.
I think goes a long way in terms of that. Also training and mentorship and creative freedom. I don't want to get into the woo-woo.
Correct.
Like where, just unlimited, go through your day however you want. I'm not really on that train of thought.
Correct.
But, big companies certainly many times can't offer creative freedom or some of these things. So there's a uniqueness in, I don't even know what Willie H's schedule is. He kind of strolls in, I don't know.
Lord have mercy.
Strolls in, has his kefir, whatever it is, casually has a little granola. I get a few messages that things are getting done, and then he's strolling out. So I don't know. I guess that's creative freedom.
Right.
Is it?
Well, here's
it doesn't punch a clock. Right. So
correct. Here's one of the ways I like to describe it. First of all, you tie parallels to growth of the company and growth of opportunity because those do run in parallel lanes. The other thing too, though, and you talked about big corporations and big companies versus small to medium-sized companies that have high growth opportunity. I talk about input to impact, right? You can have a lot of input at a bigger company, but the impact isn't always revealed because it goes into a think tank or it goes into a group or it goes into a leadership team and they come out with something that looks completely different. Whereas in smaller companies where you can have a more direct impact with your input, meaning that's something, there's a shorter path to getting something approved. There's a shorter path to opportunity. And so for people that have been in a corporate role for a little while and have learned some things and realize that some corporate roles are stifling. And so maybe they don't want to be stifled anymore. Maybe they want to have a little bit more freedom with some structure and opportunity. And so if you can tie parallel lanes, growth and opportunity and roles to growth and opportunity with a company, those things look legitimate and people can buy into that.
Well, and also there's a personal element to it. So it gives you the opportunity to talk about also in that story, the personal impact, not the bureaucracy of the situation. So, top talent wants to be part of the story, not just the salary perspective.
Correct. Well, and look, I say this, I'm the first one to admit, I say this standing firmly on the ground in front of a mirror. We all have egos.
Sure.
And it's just how we navigate through that and how we understand it.
I've never really observed you in a extended ego. Like I don't think I've ever seen that on display.
Okay.
Like, from that standpoint.
Right.
I agree that we do. But there's some people who lead with it.
Right. I've worked on it.
Yeah.
I've put a lot of work.
You used to be at A-Home?
Well, I still have the capacity to do that.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, given the right.
Willie H., have you ever seen? I've never really seen LG007 in that capacity. Well, I'd be interested to talk to some people that have been on the other side of that. Maybe we can get some guests. Maybe we can get a call in going.
Call in.
I'd like to meet a few people that have seen that side.
Well, we talk about managing energy too, right? And what I've learned is that there's ways to manage energy that I can preserve it. And protect it.
Right.
But my point is saying that is the ego piece. We all, whether it be overt or below the surface, we all want to be recognized for impact and doing good work. So you go back to the Chris Rock in the mailroom. Right. I do good work for 5 days. Well, how we're recognized, right. Some is realistic and some isn't.
Right.
But we all want to have something like that.
Right.
And be rewarded for progress.
And doing our job.
Like,
yay, the mail showed up.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yay.
Well, that's the participation short effect, right?
Yeah. Another episode.
Correct.
All right. Number 5, final one.
Final one?
Host connect. This is right up your alley. Networking. Host connection events that attract talent naturally.
Correct.
So the idea here is that recruiting doesn't always look like or have to look like recruiting.
Right.
Right. So that can be kind of cloaked in small business roundtables, networking nights, community events tied to your brand. Right. Partner with the local chamber of commerce or co-working, spaces and partnerships. Correct. So the idea here is great. Great people show up where energy and opportunity live.
Correct.
So you have the opportunity to stand out as a leader worth working for.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of ways to be creative. There's a company here in town that a couple of years ago they threw a March Madness event.
Okay.
Happy hour at their place. It was the first weekend. There's games going on all day. Mm-hmm. So about 2:00, they opened the doors. They said, look, it's Thursday. It's the first day of the tournament. Let's have a social event. We'll have some people in. We've got TVs all over the place.
Right.
And what it did was it opened up their office so people could come see their office. It created a fun environment where people could engage, and they invited people from the community. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly what you're talking about. It's a creative way to bring people in, get to know them, engage with them without the pressure of, are you hiring or not?
Right.
And again, because you make better decisions when you're not feeling pressured to hire somebody. So you can talk to them and get to know them,
right,
and learn more about who they are as a person other than, well, I got to fill this role, and that person is the closest thing I got to filling this role.
If you build the room, the right people will walk into it.
Well said. Yeah, very well said.
This might be a guy I want to work with. I've been using that one a little too much today.
What's that?
Mix it up. Willie H. Willie H. over there. He didn't know what something's coming. He's know that boom, something. We're dropping knowledge and science here.
Right. Ooh. Absolutely.
When the church say amen.
There we go.
So be a magnet, not a poacher. Mm-hmm. Find the underappreciated elite. Turn your team into recruiters. Sell the growth story, not the job title. Create opportunities for talent to find you. Small businesses can absolutely win the talent game, not by competing on size,
right,
but by competing on meaning and momentum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And
you better believe
he's getting deeper into the barrel now.
Speaking of meaning, momentum, and revenue, we want to make sure before we get out of here that we speak about our sponsor again.
Well, before we wrap, a quick thank you to our sponsor, Pecan Jack's Ice Cream and Candy Kitchen franchise, serving up smiles and strong returns with an average unit volume of $960,193.38. If you're ready to add a high-performing, family-friendly franchise to your business portfolio, visit pecanjacksfranchise.com and start your journey today.
All right. I love it. Well, I think we got it done.
Did a good one.
I think we've got it done.
Yeah.
Hopefully you took some value there. We encourage you to share this podcast with other business owners in community. If you know an organization that needs to be picking up the feed, their team, their people, their organization needs to be getting this, let us know. You can head to CoryMosley.com, drop a note right in there. We are streaming out to several organizations that have business owners that need to grow their business. So we want to be a resource for you to do that. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming back. And next time, bring a friend.
That's right. That will do it for today's episode of the Grow Business Podcast. On behalf of myself, LG007, Lon Graham, and Willie H., we will see you next week. Willie H., take us out.
Yeah, that's so important.
It is.
Looking for talent before you need it. I mean, that's...
Yeah, starting to cultivate those relationships, particularly, again, it's like you generally want employed people.
Well, right.
Right? Like there's a different twist on people who are out of work.
Correct.
And then you're looking at them from a resume standpoint.
Correct.
Through no fault of their own many times, right? These upsizing, downsizing. I mean, some of the corporate stuff really is sad because they know when they go on this hiring spree that they're doing it to achieve a goal. And many times they know in 12 months they're going to reduce the workforce. Like,
correct.
It's not, they didn't wake up and go, oh, it snuck up on us. Now we're reducing our workforce. It was almost planned. And, that's, if you know you're coming into an environment that way, that's one thing. But if you really were career minded, it is a big blow.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you'll get some of these product launches. It'll come out to
but I need to know. I mean, I want to know that.
Like I want to be a part of a product launch so I can add that to my portfolio so that I bring that skill set to
just go buy a new house. And you're like, we're going in a different direction.
Yeah, you're not going to live here.
And I read it on LinkedIn.